Hey, what's going on, guys? So today I'm talking about the Ace Nibbler. All right, I've had this one in the pocket, on and off, a couple weeks, a couple months, I think at this point, and I have my opinions on it. So first, let's go ahead and take a look at all of the other variants on this guy because there's a ton. All right, so I'm on BladeHQ. All right, just give you a quick peek at this. They have a purple one, they got a red one. You can see $95. They got a green one. These are all the aluminum, just like I have with the blue. They also make one with micarta, which is really nice, but that jumps it up to 155. This is also sporting 20 CV, all right, whereas these other ones are N690, so that is a big difference. All right, it's not just the micarta. Then they have one that is just titanium, all right, and then here's the blue one that I have right here. All right, so actually, you know what, while I'm here, might as well just show you the specs. Makes it a lot easier, right? So there's the specs. You guys could pause your screen as I scroll if you want to know all that stuff, because the point of the video today has nothing to do with really the knife. The knife is actually a good quality knife. I can't really complain about it. I actually like the Ace stuff like across the board. This is the first one that I didn't like, and it's not because of the quality, it's just the design. This guy is too small. Now, hear me out. I've had many small knives small in this that I loved. But because it's small, and because it's super smooth, at least this aluminum version, or it might be different if I had the micarta, but it's just slick. It's hard to get a great grip on this guy. All right, this is a little liner lock. All right, it does lock up fantastic. Like I said, the finish is fantastic. I'm a huge fan of the wire clips. Obviously, everything Spyderco does, and other companies use wire clips as well. The blade's cool, nice little blade design. The opening, you know, what would you call that? Droplet. That's the kind of shape there. It all works. Everything's fine. It's just when I've been carrying and using this guy, I pull it out of the pocket, and when I go to open it, sometimes like my hand slides because it is just super smooth aluminum. And then, you know, it's kind of a smaller size, so it's a little awkward to get in there. Some of the smaller knives I do like being flippers, but this just having a hole, just a little bit weirder. Not a huge deal though, but when it finally gets open, if I use a grip like this, it's not too bad, but more times than not, I'll put my finger on the back portion of the handle. So let me show you this up close if you can't tell. All right, pointer finger on the back, thumb on the front, so I have a lot of control on that blade. And the handle is just kind of filling my hand, but even if I didn't, you know, use the handle, I could still cut completely fine, right? So that's how I have to use this knife because it's so small. So really the only problem is just the design, the fact that it's smooth. This is one of the few times where I would actually like a little bit of jimping. There's no jimping on the handle scales here or the blade, and I think that would make a huge difference, particularly in this grip. If this was jimped from, let's say, you know, right here, the flat end, all the way back to here, honestly, I think it'd be fine for a little guy, little tiny, you know, liner lock. But because it's not, unfortunately, it becomes uncomfortable. Now, this is the perfect example of when a lanyard might be appropriate for function. Now, I use this out of the box. I just wanted to test it out how it is, and it was slick. I just wasn't a huge fan of it. However, this does have a big old lanyard hole on here. And if you throw on some 550, maybe 5 or 6 different knots, you know, so you have about that length or so, maybe a tiny little rat tail, which would be appropriate since it is the Ace. But yeah, that's where your grip would be a lot better because my ring finger, possibly even the pinky depending on the lanyard, but my ring finger would be able to hold on to something in addition to my pointer and middle finger. All right, so even though there's no jimping here, if my ring finger was holding on to, again, a cordage that's firmly attached to the knife itself, it just wouldn't slip as much. I really feel that way, so I'm going to experiment. I'm going to put a lanyard on here. I'm going to carry it again. But I did want to make this video before because that was my experience. I've had all different types of knives, you know, a lot of small knives like this that are totally fine because I can still handle them and grip them. I feel like the lanyard would make a huge difference on this guy. Jimping would make a huge difference, but they're not going to, you know, change the design. They're not going to add jimping, I don't think. This is just what it is, you know what I mean? If you have a little shop and some know-how, yeah, you can put some, even a Dremel, put some notches in there and have some jimping. But I'm not going to even mess with that. I'm not looking to modify knives or anything. So there it is again, a close-up. It is a cool little knife, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how cool a knife is. If it's not comfortable to use, you probably won't carry and use it. And so my initial experience after a couple weeks in and out of the pocket, it's slick. It's small enough and smooth enough where it makes a difference. All right, I do think if you got the micarta version, it wouldn't be as big of a deal. I do think if you threw a lanyard on here, it wouldn't be as big of a deal. And if they make future generations of this, throwing some jimping on here would probably solve this problem as well. I just need a little something extra. That's all, just a little something. All right, but as is out of the box, that's my impression. It was slick. Now I know a lot of you guys are going to point out, you know, N690 for a liner lock of this size for, you know, $100 almost. Yeah, I get that too. I can make a whole another video talking about, you know, blade steel, you know, and price, because a lot of people, they really just have to see a certain type of steel to see a certain price range. I mean, that's up to the individual. It's obviously personal preference. I've said this for years and years and years. I don't care if a knife is $50 with M4 in it, or if it's $500 with 440C. If the knife is good, the knife is good. However, I can agree on some level that once you hit certain price points, once you're pushing almost $100, then yes, you would like to see certain blade steels. I do want to throw in the fact that this is not an American company. This is overseas, and in Europe, N690 is much more available. Therefore, that's why it's so heavily used. All right, it's not always about they just chose that steel because they thought it was the best. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Just wanted to drive home the point that this guy was extra slick. And that's unfortunate because it is a cool, neat little knife. But anyway, let me know if you have a Nibbler and what you think of yours. But very specifically, if you happen to have the micarta version, does that help? Do you not have any problems? But for me, again, this was just noticeably slick. And that's something that does not happen often. Big knives, small knives. I mean, I've handled a lot of smooth knives. I do feel like if this was a bigger knife, because I've had many knives like this, it's not that big of a deal. But once you get into the smaller sizes, you have to consider things like jimping, and you have to consider, you know, how the, you know, the ergonomics are going to be as far as it's sliding around. And again, this is mostly with dry hands. It's not like I'm outside in the rain trying to use this every day. In fact, really thinking about it, I'm not sure if this ever even got wet. So, I mean, it has been raining a lot back and forth, but I'm not generally using my knives out in the rain if I can avoid it. But anyway, that's all. Let me know what you think about it. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Take care.